The Future is Wild shows viewers how the planet will evolve over millions and millions of years. The show's concept resonated with video game developer Will Wright. His latest title, Spore, lets gamers control evolution, one click at a time.
Will had been asked to write a piece for Wired magazine, just come up with a game concept I think they asked him to do. Basically, he used that as an opportunity to write down the idea for Spore, but this is well before it had been percolated through the studio or through EA. But it was this idea of a game where you evolve a society from its very early beginnings into space.
I'd finished up SimCity 3000. I was art directing that. And Will had finished up the first cut at The Sims 1. We were at a kind of a little party afterwards, and I said, so Will, you finished up The Sims, you've done a game about people, and what are you going to do next? And Will said, well, he had an idea about a game that would be about everything else, and I thought he was joking.
It literally meant everything. He's working on the entire world, the entire galaxy in a box. So, yeah, they didn't undersell it at all.
When we first started on Spore, I was initially calling it Sim Everything. But there was, we'd been using Sim titles for all of our games, and it was kind of like the idea of doing something that didn't have Sim in front of it.
And we wanted a good secret name for the project so that we could have our little secret clubhouse where we referred to it by its secret word, and we'd be the only ones who would know.
And Ocean just kind of threw out Spore. Let's call it Spore. And so that was our code name for the project for a long time. Spore kind of has this connotation. First of all, it sounds like it's about life. It sounds like it's something that wants to spread, and as you're making stuff in the game, it's spreading to all the other players. And really, the game, in some sense, is about life. It's looking at the, the universe. But the interesting thing about Spore is the way life profoundly affects this fairly mechanistic clockwork universe.
Will's kind of unique in terms of how he really starts to work on a new concept. He does a tremendous amount of reading. In the case of Spore, he's had a lifelong fascination with space, with science. He does a tremendous amount of reading in that territory. And while we were finishing up The Sims Online, he was already having this inkling of an idea of where he wanted to go next.
I'd always been very interested since a kid in astronomy, and I'd never done a space game before. And in particular, I love the idea of this entire galaxy, that I could explore, that would have this, just wonderful variety of worlds from the very, very small microscopic up to the very large kind of intergalactic.
The development team on Spore has really gone through, different phases. It was an extremely small team for a long time, working just with Will. That was really kind of Will just forming up his ideas.
He had a bunch of interns working with him, and basically they were making a bunch of really fun, interesting prototypes that would explore this gameplay for this other idea he had, but they were kind of like the mad scientists in the background.
And they were basically just trying a lot of things and trying to gel what the actual complete concept of Spore could be, and convince themselves also that we could actually make that game.
I think there was really kind of two battles here. What was the game design in terms of how we're bringing together player content and creativity, but the other side is how do we make the theme of the game, the presentation of it, seem like a universal theme that anybody, would feel like they would want to play.
In the game of Spore, gamers create strange new creatures that constantly evolve.